All right. Quick recap of the game breaking news. This is Moxjet. This is Judd. He is the owner, a founder of 11th Hour Games. We've got a big paragraph here. It essentially says, we started EHG as a passion project for Last Epoch. We love games. We're far from done. We need to continue aggressively growing. And today they're excited that 11th Hour Gaming is joining Krafton, the powerhouse behind PUBG. So they talked to a bunch of different partners and they felt that Krafton was the right one. And what I take this to mean, as I'm excited to announce that 11th Hour Gaming is joining Krafton, is that they're a subsidiary of Krafton, or they're bought out by Krafton. And so that's the news, and of course it goes on to say how this is a great thing for Last Epoch going forward. If you start to read down here, though, you get some very mixed feelings. Please tell me you're joking. Did you not hear what happened with Unknown Worlds and Subnautica? They royally screwed over the studio, fired the founders, screwed the development team out of $250 million. There's a whole lawsuit going on. Disappointing news. Would love to hear the proper reasons why. You've been operating really well yourselves. Had to Google Krafton. Here's Judd saying that the reason that they made a deal with Krafton is for resources and industry guidance. Don't like where this is going. I mean, for you as a studio, this is probably a good thing, but for us players, this is a part of the worst outcome. That's a bold move considering everything that's going on right now. So, of course, I looked into this, and we have Krafton here, which is responsible for a couple of video games. Terra, PUBG is probably the one that's most popular. But if we go down here to Unknown Worlds Entertainment, they acquired Unknown Worlds after making Subnautica. Then they're developing Subnautica 2. And then they announced that they had fired the co-founders Charlie and Max and the CEO Ted Gill, and they replaced them. And then it prompted widespread criticism, which goes into this article from IGN about the things that they were discussing in the comments with the $250 million payout. And so essentially, from everything that I've read here, there's two sides of the story. So the co-founders and the CEO say that, well, you guys fired us for no reason. If we hit certain revenue goals by the end of 2025, you would have had to pay us $250 million, which we would have shared with all of our employees, and they would have gotten big raises and bonuses. And they say that Subnautica 2 is ready to release in early access right now. And Krafton disagrees. They say there's not enough content. There's different quotes from them out here in these different articles. But they say there's not enough content. And they also say that they have begged the co-founders and the CEO to resume their responsibilities as the actual game directors of Subnautica 2, and that they haven't done that. So that they replaced them and they delayed it to 2026 because Subnautica 2 is not ready to launch in early access right now. So, who knows if we'll ever know the truth? They actually issued the lawsuit against them. Krafton did release this statement to their 12 million followers for Subnautica. And one thing that they keep alleging is that with the $500 million purchase, 90% of the $250 million that was supposed to be extra compensation if they hit their revenue goals was supposed to go to just the co-founders and I think the CEO, just the former executives. And so they're alleging that all the employees and the developers underneath weren't going to get much of the money. They also say down here that Krafton has committed to fair and equitable compensation for all the remaining Unknown Worlds employees who have continuously and tirelessly contributed to Subnautica 2's development. So I guess, I think it's probably very foolish. For me personally, I think it's very foolish of me to say which side is right. I don't have the details. I don't actually know what happened. In general, it seems like whenever these big companies, gobble up the smaller ones, usually the players hardly ever win. I would love for that to not be the case. I don't know who's in the right or who's in the wrong here. I just read like 5 different articles, and I don't, it's he said, she said. There's a lawsuit going on. I guess we'll see what the law is going to determine from that. But I guess in general, it doesn't inspire warm, fuzzy feelings. I hope that EHG continues as they were. I think that EHG's development and progression was sensational for what they had, and I really liked, this kind of the small studio vibes that I always seem to get to them. I like their really personal Friday podcast that they do. I like how involved they seem to be with the community, running the polls to actually get the changes implemented into the game. I hope all of this continues, and I hope that EHG a year or 2 years from now doesn't look any different. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's definitely newsworthy, but how is it actually going to impact EHG? I guess we'll have to see.